I just want to be perfectly clear. Kendrick Lamar was right. They not like us. Not at all. I lost the button I was supposed to hit. Oh, this one.
3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
On my own, here we go.
If you're looking for the guilty, you need only look into a mirror.
The communists declared that the real differences among our people constituted the weakest and most vulnerable point in our social fabric.
It's MAGA country.
This is no hoax, ladies and gentlemen. I urge you to run for your lives while you can. We're not making this up just so we can take over the world.
The old dinosaur media isn't dying, it's dead. We are the new media. This is our world now. Lay down and die.
Peace was never an option.
So if we don't step up and win this culture war, then who the fuck will?
Let's wake the fuck up! We're gonna get naked.
No. I'm locked in here with you.
You're locked in here with me.
That's what you've been waiting for. Be the one we need.
Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
Global industrial complex.
Yep. Uniparty.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
The point is to destroy Western civilization from within using Maoist technique. So therefore you have to vote for me.
I don't know. This is probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Hey.
Woke is Marxism, evolved to attack the West.
Stop giving up.
It's only just begun. Now!
Do it! Yes, you can!
I'm gonna do what's called a pro-gamer move.
Just do it!
Are people bitching about that?
Some people.
Of course they are. Oh, fucking A. All right, got it. Yeah, too fucking bad.
All right.
Yeah.
Far left conspiracies, to be honest with you.
Ain't no single entity going to swoop in and save the day. You are going to be continuously let down if you place all of your hope into one individual. Instead, look inside and look around. We're doing this together.
We all are fighting for the same thing, and we all see the same problem.
It's time to stop being an NPC, get off your ass, and join the meme war.
Shame! Shame!
No, I don't like you.
Shame!
If we were in the wild, I would attack you.
I'm sick of it, man. I'm fucking sick of it. I will not do it again.
Thank you. I wonder how many people feel exactly the same way.
Be the beating drum at the head of the growing creative cavalry charge. Be vocal and profound in your passion for projects you enjoy.
No more excuses.
I've seen it. I can't even compute all of it. It's so fantastical. You've not seen nothing. You ain't heard nothing. You ain't smelled nothing like this. I don't have words to tell you.
A new world order.
We are in the beginning of a mass extinction.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make. Hey, wait a minute.
You control population, you destroy the family, and then you you sow division.
You don't need a destination when you're running on an omnidirectional treadmill.
Are we ready for a new world order?
You'll never defeat the human spirit. You'll never defeat God. You'll never win.
Pray that he is watching.
Against all the evil that hell can conjure, all the wickedness that mankind can produce, we will send unto them only you.
On my own, here we go.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
to finish because it always freezes at the end. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Talking with Sasquatch. You see, I've had this one sitting on the back burner for a little while, and I haven't had anyone come by with the right topic to be like, so we're just going to talk about it, right? Yeah, that's it. We're just going to go through all the details and see where we stand at the end. Yeah, that's what Fiona brought to me. That's what I'm going to bring to y'all. Now, we have two very divergent opinions over here. It might get spicy. And happy St. Patrick's Day. I've got a question for you. You seem awful sexy and you look a little Irish. Do you have any Irish in you? Would you like a little Irish in you? Come on down. How you doing, Fiona?
Wow, thank you, Sasquatch, for that salubrious intro. I just wanted to start by saying a big congratulations to the the president, for winning his golf championship recently. He won the Trump International Golf Tournament Championship, the most magnificent round ever played, from what I heard. So just a big shout out to President Trump. Good job on your win. I mean, some people have
on the course.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a natural, I guess.
I tell you, I own a dartboard, and people get upset when I shoot darts because, if I'm stressed out or whatever, I'll just stand here in the hallway and shoot darts. So if I go to a bar and people are like, where did this guy train? Where is this dude from? Because I'm over here like, dunk, 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 like it's nothing, but that's how I shoot,
Yeah.
All right. So take us to paradise, girl. I want you to take it from the top. You tell everybody exactly what brought you to this position, where we're going to sit here and discuss the protests against Elon Musk that have erupted across the Teslaverse. Go.
Well, first of all, like most people, I watch the news, believe it or not. And so I just keep seeing these stories of people violently protesting at Tesla dealerships and peacefully protesting there as well. But I think it really revolves around an overall sentiment of just how people are feeling about what's going on with the new administration. And I know that you have such a divergent audience base that I wanted to have a conversation with you just to see where you stand with it and interject my thoughts into this conversation.
So would it surprise you to learn that I think crimes are criminal?
That wouldn't, well, in this case, it wouldn't surprise me related to Tesla, maybe related to immigration.
I don't care who it's related to, madam. Crimes.
Madam, what am I, running a whorehouse?
If you wish, I suppose. I mean, that's your decision. You can call it what you want to call it.
Good to know.
I'm simply saying that if something is already illegal, is there any need to make it more illegal or less illegal based on who you're doing it to?
No, you're absolutely right on that point.
So show's over. We agree. Everybody have a lovely evening.
It was great, everybody.
Thank you, New York.
No, I just think that the crimes that are happening are reminiscent of the labor protest, where the tactics of sabotage were used in the advantage of workers' rights. And so when I see people doing modern day sabotage to Tesla and its bottom line, I just can't help but feel that this is a organic movement coalescing around labor, where we see people being laid off by the thousands. So to me, the two issues are synonymous.
Okay, so does it bother you that half the swastikas were backwards?
That doesn't bother me.
Okay. So not only are they short-tempered, they also don't know their history. So
I mean, shocker. Right?
Absolute shocker.
That's all in the stink. Ramrod.
All right, hold on. Let's do a little more introduction here, because I don't think anybody's going to understand why I won't stop laughing. So Fiona here has has done some various works as a comedian and has some truly immaculate timing when it comes to certain things. As long as she doesn't get her dander up, she's good. It's only when the emotions start running high that she starts slipping a little bit on the timing. But she's still funny, still hilarious to me. So what do you think should be done with the perpetrators of these activities?
Oh, I mean, anyone that commits a crime should be held accountable under the law if they're caught.
Right.
But I don't advocate for people turning themselves in. But I advocate for the police doing an investigation, doing their job, and coming to a reasonable conclusion.
And you would prefer for them not to be discovered just because you agree with politics? Okay. I mean, everybody's got their opinion. I appreciate you trying to say it without saying it, but we're going balls deep. So just take off the safeties, pull your panties up. We're going to make this happen, Captain. So,
improv. I'd just like to say this couldn't be happening to a more horrible guy. Elon Musk, what a despicable man.
I mean, I've never met a truly good man. Was it Aristotle who walked through Syracuse demanding one good man and failed?
I think General Mark Milley's a good man.
Okay, wait. Oh, wait, no. I know I know who you're talking about. Okay. I got the wrong general in my head.
I think it's important to mention him because today, obviously, one of the headlines in the news was that Donald Trump is trying to dismiss any pardons that were granted by President Biden. And obviously, President Biden granted a pardon to General Mark Milley because General Mark Milley informed China during the last days of the first Trump presidency. Basically said we're not to just stand down, we're not going to attack you, and basically save the free world. And so, now on a day where Trump is trying to remove the pardons granted by Biden, great men like General Mark Milley are going to be have their lives and everything put into jeopardy. So that's why I make that reference.
Okay. But specifically on what were they called? They were called protests, right? Protests. And why is it there seemed to be a lot of fire and damage at protests?
I mean, I would say there's a lot of fire and damage at a left-wing protest. Is that a fair statement?
I'll accept that.
Yeah, and so to answer your question, I would just be because the left knows how to do it better.
What's the difference between a protest and a riot?
I believe it's the number of people involved.
It is the criminal activity, madam.
Oh, okay. So I see correct.
When crimes start occurring in a group and then multiple crimes in multiple groups, that's officially a riot. And I don't think it takes but like 12 people to be a riot if there's enough crime going on and it's high tier enough. So there's still hope. We could still have a riot like of 3. It's possible.
Right? It's coming. If the Florida police have anything to say about it, they'll find a way.
Ain't that right? That's any cop anywhere wants to put the blame on you, on me, and on anybody else that's not protected by qualified immunity. What's up, lawyer chick?
Lawyer chick.
You should probably go cozy up with lawyer chick. Y'all would get along famously. She's the one I did the debate with I was telling you about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And age. My dog's got the zoomies.
Oh, one thing I will say about the increased level of activity, we'll say at a left-wing protest, is it would seem that all these attacks on Tesla dealerships and Tesla cars are done at nighttime, not in the middle of the day and stuff like that. So even though the action is more intense, I feel like it's done in a more respectful and safer manner.
Okay, so let me try to if I understand you.
If preservation of life is the number one thing, then I say left wingers respect that more than right wingers with the style of protest that they
But
participate.
they literally burn buildings and cars and trash cans and stuff. I mean, I get the activation of the situation. I respect the activism itself. The second Prometheus gets invited to the riot, it's not a protest. When Prometheus shows up, the game has changed and it's time for police type activities and less active type activist activities. I just don't like fire, man. I really don't dig things burning down around me.
Well, you know, because we're on YouTube, I will never condone activities of the sort.
Thank you.
But I will say that the stock market does. So the stock market is clearly showing that these protests on Tesla, his dealership, with owners wanting to give their cars back, it's working.
Let's see. Hold on. Property damage. I like it when lawyers talk. They generally sound funny. Property damage goals, and it caused the FBI
to declare the term eco-terrorism.
Okay. So what about that eco-terrorism question? If Tesla is building green energy cars, how is it that Tesla, the organization, and Elon Musk, the person, aren't separate things?
So my thought on that is it's a false narrative. So what Tesla is building is an electric car, not an eco car. Like the hydrogen cell engine that Toyota produced, that's an eco car. So the strip mining and the lithium production needed to make those cars, I don't think is ethically right. But as far as like attacking that because of its impact to climate change, I don't think the end user product is where the spear should be pointed, if I could say it like that, right? Like I think I don't really condone eco-terrorism towards like end user products.
Do you know where the term eco-terrorist first came up?
The first time I heard it was when the lawyer chick just said it, so you'll have to tell me.
It sounded great. You were like, hell yeah, that's a word we need.
No, just put down a bumper sticker.
Right, it is. All right, so Greenpeace, wasn't Greenpeace. It was a group of people from Greenpeace, if I remember right, put together the Save the Whales Foundation, and then they put together a Navy, and they got a whole bunch of money from around the world to save the whales, and they passed laws to save the whales, and they saved the whales.
And now the whales are attacking us.
That too. Just vengeance. I don't blame the whales. I would have started a lot earlier when I had more numbers, but that's on them.
We don't know how smart they are.
They're smart enough to attack boats. That's too smart.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, they should be dinner. But when they ended up having passed the laws and there were nobody hunting whales anymore, and whale oil's not a thing, and only in very traditional places is it permitted with very traditional equipment, they sat around with all these bajillions of dollars going, all right, they're going to stop paying us if we don't find something to save. But they already had a huge pile of money, and they had a Navy, and they had all this cool stuff, and they went, you know, I hear tuna fish kills dolphin when they swim. And the next thing you know, there's all these people on boats out there spraying down different trawlers because they're going to now save dolphins that aren't endangered from being in tuna nets. Now, I'm not saying the dolphins in the nets aren't in danger. I'm saying dolphins as a species is not in danger, right? Not on its surface, at least. And so they ended up generating a brand new crime class, eco-terrorism. I think it was thrown out by the first Bush was the first one to use it, if I remember right. It's a crazy story.
I mean, personally, I like dolphin safe tuna. I buy it.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, dolphins are awesome, right? You know, but I mean, really, it feels like they were trying to take a shot at overfishing using these nets, right? Overfishing, which we now see in our modern day and age, 20 years later, hey, we actually are experiencing massive depopulation of, certain species of fish. And that's why they have these insanely strict regulations towards fishing now. And, you could say Greenpeace, tried to warn us back then, or you could say nerds.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm not necessarily saying that in a different circumstance I might not be on one of them boats, but I'll tell you what I wouldn't be doing. I wouldn't be harming.
I would love to go like
be on one of the boats, see it happen.
Rod and reel, like on that tuna show, Wild Tuna. Oh yeah, those guys got it made.
I had a buddy. I went deep sea fishing with my pops, and a buddy of mine that was a good 3 or 4 years older than me went with his pops on the same trip. He hooked into a tuna, and it ripped his that muscle there, this muscle here, and 2 muscles in his palm. When it struck the thing, it snatched so hard that it just ripped all that loose. And homie had to ride like 2 hours back in the boat, wafting around freaking waves and stuff, bouncing up and down, screaming the whole time because he just ripped like 9 muscles in his arm. And it happened that quick. It went boop and everything let out. The drag broke loose and he screamed, and they had to drag him out the chair and take him in. And then they were like, "What's wrong?" But you couldn't see anything wrong with him except things were shaped funny. I was like, oh, no, I'll pass. I'm good. Y'all go ahead. I'm good. No, I'm only 12. I'll pass. I don't want none of that action.
I went to college for medical stuff, and I used to know all these muscles. And right now, I can't think of a single one. I mean, maybe the bicep, but oh my gosh, talk about waste of money right there.
You're not the first woman I've left speechless. But seriously, we are sitting, I believe, at a bit of a tipping point here. And
100%.
I don't think Tesla's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I don't think the activation of people in Lincoln is going to be the straw that breaks the camel back. I believe that will take place right after we have the food regulations passed. Like several of the food regulations that are, purported, mythically, maybe rumored to be coming about, which sounds just like something R.F. Kennedy would do. These things might actually turn more of the special interests in government more firmly against government, because up until this takes place, most of your petroleum byproducts, your food additives, your seed oils, all of this stuff, that is multi-billion-dollar organizations, right? That level of power will not let go easily. And I think that might be the beginning of the end of various types of, I don't even know if you could call this reform. I'm not exactly sure what to call what's going on right now, which is what I think makes a lot of Americans nervous about it.
That's a really interesting perspective. I mean, I give it full validity. People with access to food is obviously going to be a major thing. For me, I see the tipping point as it's going to happen with immigration, with specifically the defiance of these judges' orders. So the U.S. Marshal Service is who carries out the federal court's mandates. And so eventually a federal judge is going to order the U.S. Marshal Service to enforce their orders. And whether or not the Marshal Service is allowed or gets blocked, I think that'll be the tipping point. Right, because things that are happening are clearly illegal, and they're being ruled against. Huh? Sure,
I said some things, but I'm curious.
Like today, the head of ICE, Tom Holman, he got on camera and said, like, we're not going to turn those planes around. They're in international water. I don't take my, he says, I don't take my orders from the courts. I take my orders from Donald Trump. And
yeah, but
so,
there is division of powers in all of this, checks and balances and whatnot. We've read all about it through school and whatnot.
it's overruling the authority of the judiciary.
Mistaken, that order has to come from SCOTUS. It can't come from a state court or some other thing. That has nothing to do with the executive branch. So until it goes upstairs to some federal judge somewhere, I don't think a state judge is capable of writing that order and enforcing that it be followed.
But it wouldn't be a state judge, right? Because immigration is a federal issue. So all the rulings that have happened so far have been through federal judges. Now, you're right. It will go through an appeal process all the way up to SCOTUS, whether they accept or reject it, because they have the option to reject it. So either at the district court level or at the Supreme Court itself, eventually there's going to have to be, reconciling of what's going on right now, and whether or not that law is enforced, whether these people like Tom Holman and Donald Trump and them can be held accountable. And if they can't be held accountable, then there is no more reason to respect the rule of law.
Well,
right, because if they're not going to listen to the law, if they're not going to obey the courts,
but yeah, the buck has to stop somewhere. The thing is like you're talking about a disagreement between the literal top of the executive branch against like mid-level functionaries in the judicial branch. It's
only against mid-level if the Supreme Court rejects it. If they will not take the case, then you're right. It's at a mid-level authority. But either way, right, the orders are already being violated right now. They were already, they were already disobeyed. So if there is no enforcement mechanism put in place, then that's a failure of the courts.
Yeah, okay. But that's kind of my question. That's where I was going with it. What is the enforcement mechanism that would be there? Because I mean, the highest I can think of would be what, federal marshals?
It would be, U.S. Marshals. It would be a contempt of court charge for not following orders, and they would be brought into custody of the U.S. Marshal Service. So if the Secret Service ever blocks that from happening to Donald Trump, or if other branches of law enforcement fail to listen to the U.S. Marshal Service, then we're in a constitutional crisis.
You seem to be. Is this a prediction or?
Oh, I don't do predictions. I'm not Miss Cleo.
Okay. All right, we'll save those for later. So hypothetically speaking, the way you consider it, since a judge actually signed the order was signed at a given time, any airplanes on the tarmacs that left were certainly in violation. Any airplanes in the air and U.S. territory are certainly in violation. International space might require some gray area. And then anything on the ground in El Salvador or wherever it was.
I mean, as long as the plane was in the air, as long as it hadn't reached its final destination, it could have been turned back.
Maybe. That's a long trip.
Like, I mean, they can refuel somewhere, but the plane would come back with the people on it, right? I mean, the judge made the ruling. What they did was unequivocally against the law. And then you get the leader of ICE go on TV and say, I don't care about the federal judge's ruling. I only listen to the executive branch. Well, FO. And we're going to find out all of America.
That's where we're at right now, ain't it?
It really is.
That's finding out. I mean, these types of government entities, they take on something of a momentum. It takes a bit for them to actually get rolling, but once they start rolling, it becomes more difficult to stop the mechanisms of bureaucracy from just following through with the rubber stamping. Here's my hypothesis on how this is going to play out. There will be some other sidestep in order to deport, whether they stick them on slow boats or sail them out. I don't know. I have no idea what it'll look like.
Me either.
Probably planes. No clue. But theoretically, whether he utilizes a different set of laws from a different time period that was drafted for different reasons. Because currently, there's not exactly a perfect set of laws that deal with the type of issues we're having. Like international gangs were always a thing, but they weren't always like as numerous as they are now. What?
I definitely agree with that, and I'm not here to diminish or minimize the overwhelming amount of gang activity and gang related stuff that's happening in the United States that's coming from south of the border. That's very legitimate, very real, but we can't give people, wave a magic wand and say, I can just deport anybody I want and loop them into that category. And so far, that's kind of been the approach, this unchecked power, this unchecked authority. They just want to be able to go around and, control the narrative, if you will. And so that's why the federal courts are here to put a stop to that. Because when I hear you guys with your debate about illegal immigration, I just want to point out that we have an amnesty law in our country, and these people that come through our southern border, they are processed. They're not just coming and evading the system. No, they get processed at the border. They're given visas and a court date to attend to. So violating your visa or something like that, that's not a criminal charge. That's a civil penalty.
I'm aware.
Yeah. So, I think
it's there were during the debate, we had a couple of people pop in chat, and they came in and said it does have a penal number and a penal statute, but it has been reduced to a civil violation by various administrations, and not just one side. W. Bush, if I remember right, he had it as a civil violation, and then Clinton had it as a civil violation. Under Obama, for a short period, it was a criminal violation, and then that was turned over to a civil violation. It's been civil ever since. But the penal code does exist. It could be enforced as a criminal act.
So what I'm saying is, rather than going to some law that was created in the 1700s, right, some historical law, like, why don't we just go with the way the law is written and on the books? Like, there's a process to go through if you want to change a law, and like they don't. It's like they're saying they don't want to go through that process. They just want to automatically declare it, and that's the way it is. And I think that's why a lot of people have a problem with it.
There's another layer here that a lot of people haven't considered, and it has to do with something that happened in the court systems like 6 months ago. They overturned the concept of Chevron deference. Chevron deference allowed the different governmental agencies to exert their charters in their own interpretation of it. This is the same. It's not really a law. It was kind of like the Bruin decision, where there was a certain way of looking at things. People were assumed that they were going to do their job. And so you can interpret your charter how you see fit to do your job. This is how things that are not firearms, like bump stocks and silencers and, forced reset triggers and things, became considered firearms and under the ATF's authority, when it's clearly not a firearm and clearly not under the ATF's authority. I'm not saying they should be legal. I'm just saying they're not under the ATF's authority. If you want to regulate those, create a new freaking thing to do it. Pass a law, make it happen.
They law,
but
right?
That's not what they did. That's not what they did. What they did was they backed up, reinterpreted as a machine gun, and did not change the letter of the law, changed the interpretation of the language of the law, and turned 2 million Americans, law-abiding Americans who have never had a criminal charge in their entire life, were suddenly felons overnight.
Yeah, I don't agree with criminalizing people like that over instantaneously over a policy change. But I will say those reset triggers, that's not fair.
Fair. We're not talking about fair. I think we both understand Sun Tzu never intended on it being fair.
Hey, I guess you're right on that aspect, but
I'll tell you
I'm talking about civil law and society, not the art of war, right? Like,
I got another one for you. I'll shoot a man in a fair fight, or if I think he's going to start a fair fight.
I mean, yeah, that's your right to defend yourself. I don't disagree with that. You know, if somebody, you know, as a
That's actually a
transgender
line
person,
from Firefly. That's a
Oh,
line
okay.
from the TV show. It's one of my favorites.
well, I'm just saying, like, you know, as a transgender American, you know, like I feel, you know, I fear for my safety from time to time, and you know, I definitely stand for, you know, people to legally be able to protect themselves and defend themselves. You know, so you know, I got nothing against illegal ownership of firearms, especially when they're used or purchased with the intent of self-defense.
Right. Self-defense. I have a really weird perspective on self-defense. I'm of the opinion the way the Constitution is written and the way most of the laws, not all, but most of the laws from that time to this has been written, has largely been to expand Americans' access to defensive capabilities as individuals. A really freedom-based concept. And if you've ever gone to any gun ranges, 99% of the people at gun ranges are very, very controlled individuals until
Yeah,
you
I
find
wonder-
a dude who's tactical with the Oakleys and he wears the plate carrier without the plate because he's got a little bit of a gut and he's got like 97 different trinkets on his freaking vest. And you know the guy I'm talking about.
Oh,
Wears
yeah.
cargo shorts, that dude.
Yeah, he did 1 year in the reserves.
And then got kicked out because he ate
Yeah.
the CO's freaking lunch one day.
You can spot those guys a mile away.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like when you come across these people, it becomes absolutely obvious you can't trust them. And then they have a firearm on their hip and they're standing there in a freaking gun range talking like they own the place and they walked in 15 minutes ago and don't even know the guy, you know, but he's that dude. These people bother me. But that being said, as long as they don't break any laws, I don't got no problem with them packing. I believe in a home defense nuke. A rational man would never use it. And so why should it be illegal? For irrational people?
Yes.
All right,
Yeah,
I'll
they-
buy that with nuclear weapons. You got me. Lock me up, bro. You got me. We are right there together. That's illegal. No home defense nukes. Fine. Everything else conventional, you know, no chemicals. We can avoid chemical weapons, biological weapons. These things should not be in the home. I don't think. I mean, that seems logical to me. I'm good with it. But anything that goes boom, nah, that's a bit much. Tannerite. You can create the equivalent of dynamite explosions with enough tannerite, and yet you can go buy that like by the ton, like nobody cares.
Listen, I think you're wrong on that. I would have to say that chemical weapons are way more harmful to life, you know, than just a singular explosion. Like you have the cloud, the gas, the vapors, they linger. It's a way worse thing.
I can give you a pretty good swing on what a chemical attack would look like. We haven't actually seen one since the Kurdish invasion. And since Kurds were hit by Saddam Hussein, that was the
chemical
last-
leak from in the 80s.
Right. So nobody in modern like parlance really has a functional understanding of what it looks like when chemical weapons are utilized. That VX gas stuff is amazingly deadly. That being said, we do have the Palestine event in Ohio. And that was a very similar type of chemical cocktail taking place, although it was not directed, it was not aimed, it was not intentionally created in that fashion.
The train derailment?
Yeah, the train derailment with all of the vinyl stuff, the fumes, the gases, the flames. It's a similar sort of event.
Chloride.
Oh my God, that stuff's heinous. Have you ever read a hazmat sheet on that stuff? I have.
I read a lot of things.
Well, I worked with it for a while, and they had like, this was the most disturbing part of that job. I noticed the hazmat book in the corner for like months. I worked at this place, and one day I had left my book at home and I was headed to the bathroom. I'm like, damn! I grabbed the freaking hazmat book, walk in. It was half of an Atlanta phone book. There was no hazmat information in that book. It was an Atlanta phone book that was in the box that said hazmat. like dude, I lost
Thank
my
God.
mind. Bro.
Thank
I
God.
freaked out. I was like, oh no, if it's that bad that you don't even want us to know,
You're gonna need to burn something.
But I went and said something about it, and they brought me the actual book out of the office. They're like, yeah, people keep tearing it up to make notes. So who put the phone book in there? Oh. Trolling.
And you would have to think, like, are they replacing that phone book every year?
No. It was like a phone book from like the mid 80s or something. I don't know where they got that thing. I don't know. It was an old
for the next 50 years.
Well, as long as nobody opened it, you pick it up, look at it, it looked like it had paper in it. As long as you don't open it, it's good. They had cut off the front and the back of it to make it fit perfect. It was done intentionally. Somebody did that to make it look like the actual hazmat information, because when they brought me the actual hazmat file, it was exactly the same size as this book that was in there. And I was like,
that'll pass inspection.
Bullshit. Somebody knows who did that. That's too funny for them not to have told someone. There's no way. You know, good and well you'd have mentioned it if it was you. That would have been hilarious. Let's get some stuff going on. I got some of Elon's tweets over here.
Oh, perfect.
Have you are you on the Twitch, Twitter, twit thing?
No.
Oh wait. I was just fixing to say you'd be Blue Sky, right?
Yeah, of course.
Makes sense. I didn't. Sorry, I didn't think that one all the way through.
You know, I gotta say, I mean, changing that name from Twitter to X. I mean,
don't get me started. It's just too much. There's too much to pick apart. I mean, you know, my theory on the whole Elon Musk question. Do you remember Howard Hughes and all the weirdness he got up to?
Yeah, I know a little bit of Howard Hughes just from that film about airplanes. But
go to find a video, a deep dive video, a good hour-long video on Howard Hughes, and then look into some of the quote-unquote conspiracy theories behind it. One of them is this. Howard Hughes wasn't actually a multi-billionaire, right? Actually, he was the front man for government dark plans that were funded by the state, and he was just the face that supposedly funded it, and that's why he locked himself in a freaking hotel in his later years, because he lost his mind because the government literally was out to get him to keep him from talking.
I mean, I can tell you, when the government's coming after you, it can be stressful.
Can we at least agree on this, that someone needs to buy McDonald's and fix the ice cream machines? I don't care who does it.
Who goes to McDonald's for ice cream? Like, there are actual ice cream stores and shops. Like, if you're getting your ice cream through a drive-through, you're not getting the best ice cream for your money.
I don't think the people who are looking for McDonald's ice cream are looking for the best ice cream. Adam, these are people who get the big double, the huge order of fries and a Diet Coke. They got to wash their waistline. So the ice cream, I don't think that's the breaking point on that particular negotiation.
Yeah, you know, I mean, if this is what the richest man in the world thinks is worth his time, then then we'll acknowledge it, I guess.
I don't rightly care what he thinks is worth his time. I'm only interested because people get so triggered about everything this man does, and I get to point at him and laugh about it because I don't care. It doesn't offend me either way, you know. So and I don't care if you disagree, that's fine. If you have an argument, that's great. If you want to discuss it, we can do that. But what
he bought Twitter, and you know, makes people receive his tweets. Like, you can't unfollow Elon. You know, it's just like, it's a vanity project run wild. It's everything that I stand against as a Christian.
But isn't it his money? Can't he pretty much vanity projected out? You know, back in the day, kings used to have these things they did called follies. This is X is Elon Musk's folly.
Yeah. I hope it goes the way of MySpace.
My puppy is sitting here fussing at me, just barking at me for no
I
good
saw
reason.
that, yeah.
I think he thinks I'm nuts because he doesn't know who I'm talking to.
I
He
wanted
does
to
this
tell you,
on every show.
that intro that you brought to get me on here, I want to say it was interesting that the Game of Thrones one where you had Queen Cersei,
Shame.
You had her listed as the complainers, but sure, she was shamed in the street, but she won.
That edit was done by a Nerdrotic editor, and I went and clipped a few bits out of it and completely rearranged it, added some stuff, took some stuff out. But that part, the 3 a.m. and the complainers, all of those where it said 3 a.m. and me editing, those are all straight from his work. But you got to admit, it is a little too on the nose. I mean,
maybe I'm not getting the reference.
Shame. That's the reference.
I mean, it's like if, as I understand it from the show, is because she wouldn't comply with the absurdness of the church, and she was publicly shamed for standing up for what she thought was right and her family. Am I wrong
That's
on that?
one interpretation. You're not wrong. Nothing you said was actually wrong. That is correct. It is not complete. The reason the church had issue with her was because she had lain with her own brother and fathered children from him. And furthermore, had lied her entire life about all sorts of wild stuff that they all had evidence on but couldn't make public. And so the public shaming was to keep from cutting her head off. They had a choice. We can kill her or we can shame her. And they shamed her. There was the lesser of two evils in that case.
It was different times back then.
It's not even a real place. Yeah, I get it. That's hilarious. Okay, so where does all this go? What's the end game for attacking Elon and Tesla? How does one win in that situation?
By disenfranchising, like he obviously he makes a lot of his wealth through the sales of Tesla, and and then the other side of that wealth would be through government contracts. So just like they're trying to taking the court for canceling Verizon's contract with the FAA and putting Starlink in place, like chipping at his wealth, chipping at his empire. And, it's just really about making Twitter worthless, making Teslas so unpopular, nobody will drive them, and taking him to court for all the things he's using his government position to get insider favors for. So, taking down a guy like Elon, it isn't done in one swoop. You got to come at him from all angles.
Pause. I mean, if you want to pause. I didn't think you'd be the type to come at Elon like that.
Well, I haven't done anything yet, but he's not my favorite person. So
I understand. I have a few less than favorite people in my life too. None of them are billionaires, but I can understand the sentiment.
Oh man, I tell you, you're only as good as the guy protecting you.
Wait, I kind of want you to say that again.
I said you're only as good as the person protecting you.
Oh, damn. I was hoping to get the gendered language in there. It would have made a great clip.
Oh, anyway. Man, are you kidding me? I wouldn't have no female bodyguard.
I got no smoke for female bodyguards. As long as they're packing and accurate, it's not that big a deal. But the two people right next to me, given a choice, I'd have somebody the size of Andre the Giant. And maybe like someone really small and fast, like Ricky the Steamboat.
Yeah, I don't believe in solving my problems with guns. So that's just me.
That's why you get Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. He does that luchadarius shit from the top ring rope, and you don't have to have guns. He's a superhero.
That's a comment I made to you before, that transgenderism is the answer to feminism.
I thought red pill was feminism inversed and the answer to feminism. Don't hurt yourself. Feminism.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, we should definitely go touring some red pill places. They will hate you, and you'll know they're going to hate you, and you'll be prepared to be hated just right out the box. And we can go in there and just clown them. It'll be great, because they're just as terrible as feminists. They're bad people in general.
Oh, okay.
Just in general, they have made the assumption, and this is also true for feminists, but not as overtly, right? The same thought process is what I'm talking about. They have quantified the human relationship of reproduction as a financial exchange of services, right? And so they talk about things like sexual marketplace and dating value and stuff like that, when that's not really what they're meaning. They are meaning the value of the individual based on hair, eye color, size of their booty, how tall they are. This is what we used to refer to as preferences.
Yeah, see, preferences sounds pretty familiar. Assigning a cash value based on features, I think it's just like a masturbatory pleasure gone wild, right? I mean,
no, you're exactly right. That is exactly what it is. It is completely cutting off the opposite sex because they don't meet your standards. And then these red pill guys, and this is also true for some of the feminist women, come in and tell, and if you're going to use a metric for like marketplace value or whatever the joke is, 0 to 10, you got a bunch of 3s out here who have been puffed up by these 7s that are online telling them that they're 8s. And then they walk around trying to act like they're 8s because that's what an 8 does. And you have to be the change you want to see and all that stuff. And it's just throwing the entire thing completely out of whack. It's impossible.
You're an 8, Sasquatch.
A hater?
You're a total 8.
I might be a hater. I do hate certain ideas.
I said an 8. You're an 8.
I don't know. I'm married.
8
I could ask her. She's the reason I'm an 8. By all rights, I should be a low 6, maybe a mid 5, you know, when it comes down to it. But she cleaned me up, knocked some of the dust off, beat me up a little bit, and pushed me out and was like, go be somebody. And here I am.
There you go. That's my problem, right? Like every time I want to think about doing YouTube, I'm like, do I want to take a shower and put on makeup right now? Just to give my opinion.
Been there. And I can give you a very tiny bit of advice on that. And this is going to sound kind of silly. At some point in time, you'll come into just, a little bit of money that's not already allocated to something specific. Go and buy 2 or 3 dresses that are identical. Make that the uniform for being on your channel. Right?
I got plenty of dressy clothes, man. That's not
sure,
the problem.
But it takes time to do that. Right, to choose and pick out. And I know that's the most fun of being a woman, but still, it makes it easier to deal with YouTube if all you've got to do is go grab the hat, grab the freaking dress, pop that on, turn, look at the camera and go, okay, how bad is it? All right, straighten that out, maybe a filter, and roll with it, right? And go with a low grade quality to start with, mainly because when you decide to spruce up and do better, it's obvious. It's immediately obvious. Everybody's like, wow. So,
Is that what you're doing? You're using a filter over there?
Oh no, ma'am. I would not dare. This fugliness is au natural. I was born just this filthy. I did practice a little bit as I was growing up. I got better. All right, I'll tell you what. We're kind of at the end of this thing. I've got to go pick up my daughter here in about 10 minutes. Give us your outgoing thoughts. We'll do the wrap out, and I'll try to keep a few minutes for you backstage. All right.
Okay, my outgoing thoughts. I think that it's always darkest before the dawn, and even though we're in this low period right now, struggling for who we are as a country, people's rights, freedoms are being eroded away. The rule of law is being eroded away. you know, it's at these points that allow us to come together to make the most good. So don't miss the opportunity in the moment of life.
That was excellent. You did very well. You did miss one thing though. You're supposed to tell them what your channel is, and to come subscribe, like, and comment, all that stuff. Just wrap it up real quick.
Yeah, so I'm Fiona Rawls on YouTube. You can find me there just by searching Fiona Rawls.
I've also got her link pinned at the top of the chat over there if anybody's interested. I can't make you subscribe. Personally, I think she's hilarious. Some other people get all offended when she starts talking. I don't know why that is. They're sensitive, I guess. But I appreciate you coming through. This has been an excellent talk. Hopefully we can do it again on something else. Whatever
Yes,
you got.
I would definitely do it again.
All right. So one catch. Next time, you got to stream it to your channel.
Stream it to my channel?
Yeah, it's a little button over there. It says share to audience. So you could have totally done this one too, but you popped in and I was already nervous, and you know how it goes.
Oh my God, I would have had to log into something.
Oh no.
I got rid of StreamYard. I do OBS.
Oh, well, yeah.
But I can make a free account. That's really not asking too much.
Okay. I mean, it should still be there. You could probably just go back into your old account if it's still there. Anyway, we got to wrap this up. I'm going to thank you for coming. Much love. I appreciate it. I'm going to set you backstage for a minute, do a little talk out, and I'll be right back with you. Much love. She's tons of fun, folks. Go by and check her out. She does things, talks about stuff. It's kind of intermittent nowadays, but it's worth the chuckle. I swear. She's got a bunch of comedy bits over there and all kinds of other stuff. I'm kind of in a little bit of a hurry, folks. I'm going to leave you hanging on the end of this, but I think I've already set this up to redirect y'all to somewhere interesting, and I can't remember where it is. So when y'all find out, tell them I said hi.
Sorry. Good news, though. We're going to have to move the party somewhere a little bit more private, but you're all invited. Lorenzo will give you the details. Yeah!
But if